So now we're on the third mainland bridge, which is arguably one of the world's busiest thoroughfare. And there's the usual rush hour traffic. This is what, almost 10:30 a.m. and the traffic is still as usual. It would appear that life goes on as always in Lagos. Living here is immediate. You know, every day you have to earn something to be able to carry on. Well, yes, it is interesting considering how empty this bridge was just a couple of days ago. It seems like it's life as we used to know it. Life, everything is back to usual.
I don't think so. Definitely not.
Far from usual. You have gone years and days and weeks, and the leadership have, as it were, been, constantly betraying us, stealing from the collective Commonwealth consistently, and we only just open our eyes to the magnitude of that waste, and we're beginning to feel that, there's no getting over it.
Government exists for the comfort and convenience of the people in civilized countries. In a country like Nigeria, of course, the people exist for the convenience and comfort of government. And that's wrong. That's not democracy. To have intimidated us into submission, I think, is wrong.
Young men and women walking down to congregate to express their views, they didn't have even catapult with them, nothing. We are being shooed down, being pushed down, with fixed bayonets and armored vehicles.
Isn't it significant that the day that Jonathan thought fit to bring the troops back to this country was an historical anniversary of the first military coup ever in Nigeria?
I think that the issue of the deployment of soldiers is very much to be deprecated, and particularly the reasons that have been given by for example, the SSS Director General, that people were abusing the president. And I said, actually, it is our right in Nigeria to abuse the president.
I think what we should focus on now is the movement by government to take away our rights. I believe it is basic for every normal society to allow its citizens to protest. If we say there's corruption today and we cannot fight against it, there's nothing else to do. The government should not be allowed to do that. Thank you.
I'm one of the organizers of Occupy Nigeria movement, the Falomo movement, the Ojota one. I belong to both the physical generation and the social media generation. So we're running things on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and we're also on the streets. On Monday morning, people had been calling to say, are we coming out or not, because there are soldiers everywhere. I parked my car under the bridge, spoke to the same policemen, and they said, well, at this point, it's out of their hands. If you come out, this, I'm quoting them directly, if you come out, is against your right. And I was actually quite angry. And I said, we have a constitutional right as citizens of Nigeria to stand and protest against anything that we don't agree with. And they said, well, this commander-in-chief said you don't have the right to protest. Those are the things they were saying to me. I leave every day of last week as if I'm not going to come back to the house, because every time I'm on the platform addressing people, there were SSS all over the place. I knew they were watching. They pointed about 4 of them to us. They followed me at some point. I got phone calls from people telling, even as at last night, saying that we are watching you and back off and all of that. It is no longer about fuel subsidy. It is about the way we are governed as a people. Good governance is what we've been campaigning for in the last 6 days that we came out. And according to the UN, there are 5 fundamental elements of good governance that we don't see in Nigeria: accountability, transparency, rule of law, responsibility, and inclusiveness. I don't think I can ever be normal again, because I've seen people come to me crying. I've seen men breaking down at Falomo weeping. I don't know what normality is. So I'm back, and I need directions.
This protest must not be allowed to end. It's unfortunate that every time there's a struggle like this, the one group that represents us, and yet is totally unrepresentative of the Nigerian people, is the NLC. It is the NLC because we have so many social groups, civil groups. For the first time, perhaps there's an opportunity for us to harness all the groups together. So that when next there's a negotiation of any sort, whilst the NLC represents, and really who they represent are government workers, civil servants. Somebody can represent the organized private sector and the real Nigerians. And I hope that under your leadership, we can pull together somehow. And the struggle in Yenagoa is the same as the struggle in Maiduguri. The struggle in Kano is the same as the struggle in Onitsha. But there's no leadership. And there's no leadership because everybody is struggling, wants to be king. If this body can constitute itself into the kingmakers of the civil rights movement and bring out one person who will be our Martin Luther King and take us forward, then we will have leadership. Then we will have purpose. Thank you very much.